feel like we're
Hello.
in. I feel like we're on our way to to a mission or something. But
Oh,
this
we
works too.
are. Perfect. On our way to our mission here. We're back here at Reality Realness with three S's here to talk about the Traitors Canada Season Two's third victim, Henoch, on the road. How are you doing now that your game has been ended?
I'm still trying to figure out how to answer that question. I'm doing good, but I did get murdered, so life goes on, but it is what it is. I guess I'm good to answer your question.
Now, so how did you get involved in the Traders Canada? Like, you're part of the sports community, and you do some, motivational speaking and stuff in that world. How did you get onto the Traders Canada?
You know what? So I just recently retired from football. I had a long 12-year professional football career, and I enjoyed it. One of the things that you mentioned, the motivational speaking that I speak on is just the importance of resilience and the ability to overcome. And every time I touch on these things, whether it's a corporate setting, or I'm at a school or some type of event, I always talk about how important change is, and you shouldn't fight change. And so, as I retired and I was looking ahead at what I was going to do, I always loved media, so I transitioned right into media. So I work with TSN on a football setting. But the people at Traders Canada contacted me, and they said, "Hey, we'd love to get you involved." And I thought to myself, "What? It's time for me to walk my talk, right?" So it's definitely different from what I've been accustomed to over the last decade plus years that I've been in football. But I looked at it as a different type of challenge, right? And I told myself, "Hey, why not?" So I jumped right into it, and as much as I got murdered quite early in the season, I absolutely enjoyed my time in the show and at the manor.
100%. So, just like, were you familiar with the Traders as an entity, as a show? Have you watched any other seasons? What kind of prep did you do to come onto the show?
So initially, no, I wasn't too familiar. We have three little ones at home, my wife and I, and with football being such a military sport, and so structured, there's only so much time that I have for myself. And the traders didn't really wasn't one of those things that I did in my free time. But as soon as I got the call, um, obviously, I'm a student of not just football when I played, but I'm a student of life. So as soon as I got the call, I started kind of watching all the different types of seasons in the UK and the US and Australia and all of those, just to kind of get acclimated and into what the game really is, and try to figure out a strategy. And I actually fell in love with it even more. So I was extremely excited, and that's kind of the prep that I kind of had to do prior to finally entering the manor initially.
So, was there any one player's gameplay that you wanted to potentially emulate if you were going to go on the show?
You know what? Not one in particular, but I obviously realize, like, you don't want to be too you don't want to bring too much attention to you, especially early on. And I remember telling my wife, like, look, I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna be quiet, I'm gonna lay low, I'm gonna be under the radar. Yeah, that didn't work out too well. Obviously, if you watch the first few episodes, I talked a little bit, but it's so hard not to be yourself. And I also told myself I wanted to be myself as much as possible. And if a lot of my teammates would know me as a talkative, as a leader type, and kind of want to help people that are around me, and that's what I went out there to do. And I try to connect to as many people as possible to kind of earn their trust as well. And I thought I did that as well, but ultimately, I think part of it was also my influence. That was also that brought to my demise.
So at the beginning of the game, when you're all kind of coming to the manor, they needed five people to be on death row, and you were one of the five people that chose to step forward. Why did you make this decision, and were you regretting this decision that you had made?
See, this is what I'm talking about. I can't help it. I really can't. When my wife watched the episode, she was like, Enoch, this is not what we mentioned. This is not what we talked about. I was like, I couldn't help it. But so this is my reasoning, right? I I initially when I uh, Karine first comes and she tells us about Death Row. And in my head, one of the episodes that I remembered was, I don't know if you guys are familiar with, I want to say it was the UK season. I can't remember which season it was, but it was in the UK. And the host asked the guests to line up in front of the man.
Yeah,
I'm talking day
season one.
one, and from most confident to least confident, and just line up. And so the guests would line up and they would shuffle. Hey, I think I'm more confident. I believe in my skills. And some people were saying, no, I don't think so. They'll go to the other end. And after it was all said and done, the host was, asking questions. Why do you feel so confident? And talk to the person that was the least confident. Why do you feel so, such lack of confidence? And then, they said, like, if you're so, yeah, since you're not so confident, see ya, go home. And that was it. And that guest didn't even get to step into the manor. And so for me, that was what was playing in my mind. And I was like, I know there's got to be some consequences, right? And again, like I was thinking, look, there's got to be consequences. I know Karine is thinking, look, if no one steps up, something is gonna go down. I didn't want to find out what that something was. And if I was gonna be the one to kind of, get the short end of the stick. And to me, it's like, look, if I do something and I end up leaving the manor, then great. At least I did something. I would rather get banished or kicked out of the manor because of something I did rather than for the lack of action. And so that was my thought process. Was it a great decision? I don't know, but I did it. And I'm glad I did because again, it speaks to the person that I am, the leader that I am. I remember, we had to when Karine kind of asked us, hey, look, this is what we're doing. Death row, 5 people. No one really moved right away. But I thought to myself, if I were to take a step forward, other people would too as well. And so we did. And surely enough, other people followed suit.
So I'm assuming that you were a victim of the traitors because of the fact that you are this leader. You do have a lot of influence. People do want to listen to you. So when you were coming onto the show, did you want to play as a faithful, or were you maybe wanting to play as a traitor? And do you think that you, as a leader, would have been able to play as a traitor?
Oh man! So initially, if I'm gonna be completely honest, I really wanted to be a trader. Prior to going to the manor, and leaving my home, I was telling my wife, I'm like, listen, I think I would be a great trader. I mean, I have all these skills that I've developed as a leader, as an athlete, and people don't realize like pro football is that's right.
A trader. Mm-hmm.
So I did want to be a trader, and I was telling my wife, yeah, this would be great. I think I've grown so much as an individual through the game of football. And again, like people think so that football is just about the game itself, but there's so much that encompasses, becoming a professional player and sustaining it as well, right? And a lot of that has to do with the business side of things and how you have to like develop relationships, and you have to have these certain type of conversations with upper management and front offices, and it's not always as honest as people think it is. And I was like, you know what? I think I can handle that. Well, it's just a game. It's just a show. So I wanted to go as a trader. But I remember when I didn't get selected to be a trader, and Karine didn't tap my shoulder. I was like, dang, I'm not a trader. I'm a faithful, but I'm going to be the best faithful I can be. And it wasn't until like day 1 or day 2 after the initial roundtable, I told myself, my goodness, it is so emotionally and mentally taxing to be a trader. The amount of, acting, for lack of a better term, that you have to do, and lying. I was like, I don't know if I would have been able to handle it. So So I was relieved to have been a faithful, and I was eager to catch the traitor. So, yeah, that was it.
You were definitely, a faithful of the faithfuls, traitor hunter for sure. Now, there
That's
was
right.
one moment when
Maybe
you
too
said,
aggressive. Maybe too aggressive. So the first banishment, Rebecca, I didn't feel that she was a traitor myself, and it was just cool to trust your gut instincts and be right about it, right? As you can see, if you're on that show, it makes you second guess your your emotions, your gut instincts, and all of that. So being right about Rebecca felt good, absolutely, and maybe that gave me more confidence to be more aggressive. So whether good thing or not, I don't know. I'll let the people decide, but that definitely, gave me a little bit more confident as far as what I thought with regards to the other guests.
now, did you have like maybe a sixth sense or any sort of feeling that you were going to be the one that was going to be murdered by the traitors when you had your got your letter?
I didn't know, and I know that, after watching a lot of the different seasons and episodes of the Traitors, usually the traders, especially at the beginning, they just want to cause chaos. So there's not always rhyme or reason for anyone to be murdered, right? Initially. And it's always tough to banish the traders on the first or second round table, because you're still getting to know one another, right? So I didn't want to put too much weight on how I felt about certain people early on, because of that reason. But also, I wasn't oblivious to the fact that, I could have been the reason. I could have been the person that the traders would have used to banish, oh, sorry, to murder, early on, because I'd be a perfect, victim to set the chaos that traders love to set early on in the show.
Now, is there anything that you think that you could have done differently to avoid your fate this round?
Less aggressive that early, less aggressive, and I think again, like I think the thing that I did the best was like not put too much weight on the little things, and I remember watching the other seasons and hearing some of the faithful saying, "Hey, look, when we took the blindfolds off, I saw you blinking 3 times, and you scratched your ear," and I just felt like even coming in, I just don't think that is enough. If you're a trader, you're not going to give it away like that easy, that right away. And so I felt like I didn't want to put too much weight on that, and I didn't want to listen to the people who were putting too much weight on that right after the initial roundtable. So I thought I did that well. But if I were to change something, was probably, yeah, not be too aggressive too soon. As a matter of fact, I was really on the fence. I was on the fence. Kevin and I, right before my last round table, we were going into it. One of the conversations that I had with him, he was telling me, Enoch, just be patient. I think because I was so certain, right? I was 99.999% certain that Mary
Me
Jo was a
too.
traitor. But he told me, just how about, even I know how confident you are, but how about we just listen first, but don't jump, on her right away. And so I said, okay, cool. You know what? We had a really good relationship, obviously. And he said, yeah. Well, after he said that, I said, of course, let me be a little bit more patient. But getting into the round table, Mary Jo felt that she was gonna get so much heat, and she was told by somebody else that, obviously, I had conversations with other guests about her, so she felt the need to defend herself, and she was the one who really, um, you know, made her own grave, so to speak, because she jumped to that. If she hadn't, necessarily started speaking up or defending herself the way that she did, and by defending herself, she basically tried to throw myself and Kevin under the bus. Um, if she hadn't done that, I think that she definitely would have had at least one more night, and I
Right.
probably would have had one more night as well. And the way the conversation was going that night at the round table, I feel like it would have been Kirkland that would have been banished that night.
Mm-hmm. Well, Mary Jo really felt strongly with you as an alliance member, and so felt as though she was kind of being open and honest with you. What at this the whole time you're like, no, I suspect her. So when did it go from you guys being such a close unit to you actually thinking that she could have been a traitor?
Oh, it happened so fast. It happened so fast. But and that's the thing with the game, right? It's the thing with the show and being at the manor. It's like even your closest allies can become traitors in your mind, right? And all it takes is a break. You go get some food and you get back into your room at the manor and you kind of rethink the conversation that you had. And it could be with your closest, ally. And you start to second guess and doubt everything that they said, which is what happens. And that's how taxing mentally I keep talking and tell people, it is a mental game where, the game is always on in your head. And that's what it was. And so the more I kept replaying the conversations that we were having, Mary Jo and I, it started to kind of feel a little bit blurry. And I was like, is she playing me right now? Like, I know she has a background in Hollywood. She lives in LA. She's a podcaster. She's been in movies and all of that. I'm like, this is an actress. She's just acting. And so, I let my mind wander a little bit too much. But I will say this. This was the final straw, right? My relationship with Mary Jo was just beginning and was just becoming established. And, we're kind of setting the foundation for it. But I already had an alliance and a good friendship with Kevin. And when she said, I think it was, I want to say it was at our second breakfast, she turned to me and she said, Enoch, I think Kevin is a traitor. I had to look at her and I said, wait a minute, what are you doing? I had to look at her sideways and then that's it right there. Like you start to weigh, okay, well, which alliance, means more to me? Which, relationship is stronger for me at this point in the game? And for me at that time, it was Kevin's. And so I had to go right away. Hey, Kevin, just to let you know, this is one of the reasons why I suspect her as well. Because, again, in my mind, Kevin wasn't a traitor. Mm-hmm. And, when Mary Jo said that, I was like, yep, you know what? You definitely it was just that final straw after the doubting and second guessing based off of conversations. But I will say, I have to say, I was gut wrenched when I found out that she was a faithful.
Oh, yes, it must have been heartbreaking. Now, did you cross your mind, or like when you're, talking with Kevin and even Mary Jo, that hey, if one of these two are traitors and I keep them close, like this could be good for me because we're gonna have a good relationship, and if they are, they'll protect me to the end. Was that something that was part of your strategy potentially, or just traitor hunter?
Initially, it was traitor hunting pretty much. But one of the things that also played to my advantage, and this is just based off of the person that I am and just the journey that I've had, thanks to Really Football, it's allowed me to have so much, just a rich experience across the whole country, right? I spent some time in the U.S. I spent some time in Canada, across the whole country, really. I went to school in the East Coast. I played in Winnipeg. I spent some time in BC. So I was really all over. So every guest that was there, I had something in common. So I felt good about connecting with each guest on different levels. So I wasn't necessarily, looking for new alliances, but I knew I had some established already. So when Mary Jo tried to point at a guest that I felt already strong about, that was one of the reasons why I felt, relatively strongly to that she was a traitor.
Would you ever play this game again or any other game similar?
I absolutely will. I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to make it happen. I don't know how yet, but I do want to have another crack at it and see. Hopefully it works out. I'm going to make a few phone calls.
And if you were to play this game again, and you were maybe as a trader, or maybe with the same group of people, who would you want to be in the conclave with? Who would be your two other traders that you'd play want to play together with?
Out of the guests that we had, well,
Exactly.
you know what, man, I probably had to bring Kevin back on and make him a trader with me too. I just thought he was just so wise as well, and very relaxed in his approach. Again, I was a little bit too aggressive, and he was the one that was kind of able to kind of slow me down a little bit. But Kevin and I, like I said, I had a good relationship with him. He's like a brother, man. He's like a brother from another mother with me in there, and he was really cool to have along. So if I had to pick another person to be a trader with me in the conclave, I'd have to bring up Kevin with me.
That's awesome. Your trader bestie up in the manor. Well,
That's
it's
right.
been amazing talking to you, He Dog. Is there anything lastly you'd like to say to anybody about your journey, about playing the game, what you're hoping to see, in the rest of the season? Final thoughts.
Man, listen, I enjoyed my time thoroughly at the manor. Obviously, wish I had more time there, but I know like my last night there, my game plan was to kind of bring more attention to the quiet people. My thought process was, look, I clearly was wrong, but clearly the traders are extremely quiet. Um, my thought process was, look, let's bring attention to the people that are quiet. Netta would have been involved. Unfortunately, Nick probably would have been also one of the people that was also quiet there. But that's what I would have really done, and I would have literally isolated, the everybody to put more attention to, these quiet guests. And you know what? If I didn't get murdered at the time that I did by rallying everyone to the quiet people, that would have probably gotten me out of it as well. So it is what it is, but that's what I would have done. And I think it's just such a great strategy because, that happens a lot of the times where the traders try to be quiet and let faithful battle each other out. So
Hmm.
that would be my game plan if I were to go back in there as a faithful. But hey, who knows? If I go back and I'm a trader, I don't know why I said my game plan out loud like that,
You're
but
good. You're good.
if I am a faithful, that's exactly how I will approach it again going forward.
That's amazing. So much for spending some time with us here today. It's been a pleasure, and I can't wait to see you on another show and maybe see you as a trader next time. It's been awesome. Thanks again.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much for having me. It was a blast.
Perfect. Take care. Bye.
Thank you so much. Bye.